I am Nick Shell, and I am the living legend. I'm also Mr. Fake It Till You Make It. If you only knew how much of my life is a product of me faking it until I make it. If only the rest of the world realized that what they're perceiving is often me in the act of becoming the thing that they think that I already am. That's my whole life. It's my career. It's this video channel. People's perception of me is often what they think that I have already become when I'm actually in the act of becoming it. Steve Martin, in the show Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, he was on an episode of that, and he talked about when he was 26 and he was officially starting out his stand-up comedy career. He wanted to play a character that was so over-the-top confident that people fell in love with that confident character and just had to buy into it. When in reality, he wasn't that person at all. But he knew if he could sell that idea, that could be what launched his career. And he was exactly right. And he said, no one can tell the difference between real confidence and fake confidence. And boy, do I live by that. I mean, even in my job, that's what I do. I've learned that as long as you explain the process to people with confidence, they often believe what you're talking about. And we've already witnessed this. There was a couple weeks ago that I was using Remington Shortcut Pro to give my dad a buzz cut. And I didn't exactly know what I was doing, but I sold the idea that I actually knew how to use that for that purpose when I never had used it. I'd always used it without a guard, and that was the first time to use it with a guard. So that's just one example. But I mean, I definitely feel that my career is based on that. I definitely feel that my YouTube career is a product of that. It's a matter of people are attracted to confidence. People are attracted to someone explaining what they're doing, just giving that clear direction of what's going on and carrying on that narrative. People will assume that you actually know what you're doing. Very little of my life has been me actually knowing what I'm doing. And I think that it's a reflection of the male identity, especially when you're younger. And I know this was the case for me, especially in my 20s and early 30s, where I would look to older men thinking, how do they just seem to know what they're doing about everything? And now that I'm there, I realize they didn't. They just didn't show that they were clueless. They didn't show that they had a lack of confidence. They didn't show that they weren't really even in control of the situation. And I think it has a lot to do with being a leader in general. I think men are expected to be leaders, especially men. And I think part of being a leader is giving even other people direction, but you can't give other people direction as they need it and to delegate that information until you make it seem like you're in control. And someone who is faking it till they make it, they may or may not have the confidence, they may or may not have the knowledge, they may or may not have the skill set. But sometimes it's just a matter of someone, and here's the cliche, stepping up to the plate and playing that role and doing that thing. Let me remind you all, how did I ever get to the point where I would have a channel that has 7,000 subscribers? How could I feel so comfortable being in front of a camera and talking to people? When flashback 30 years ago, I was a shy little kid. It all started one day when somebody needed a kid to be in a play, and I agreed to do it. And then because I was in that play, they gave me another part in a different play with more speaking parts until eventually I was the main character. And being in plays as a kid got me to the point where I realized I don't even have to be a good actor. I just have to know my lines, act like something I'm not, and what will it matter if I'm acting, in this play, on this stage? I'm acting. No one, can they tell the difference between me really being a good actor or not as long as I pretend? Fake it till you make it. I am Mr. Fake It Till You Make It. There is so much hope when you stop trying so hard to be a better version of yourself and instead just be the thing that people want you to be, that they think you to be. I know that goes against what people have said. Just be yourself, man. No, 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 no. No, do not be yourself. Am I being myself? Who knows anymore? It doesn't matter. As long as I am portraying that confidence in the person I am, as long as I'm selling that product, people will buy that. As long as I do a good job of acting. So much of my life is acting. And I think perhaps that was a major turning point in my life when I was in 2nd, 3rd grade. I went from this shy boy, people knew that I was shy, they would say that I was shy. To the time I got to high school, I was voted one and only, which means there's nobody else like this guy. You can't be that person if you're not confident. You can't be that person if you're not animated, if you're not an interesting person. And I think so much of my now rebooted series is more about how can you as a younger man, be interesting, be engaging. These are things that are more important than anything when it comes to being attractive, being likable. So much of my identity is faking it till I make it. Just imagine how many other men you assume know what they're doing. You think they've already become something when they're really just in the act of becoming it. Comments belong right here.